Recording part 2 of week 12 to the cloud, up there in the sky somewhere. And lo and behold, we have someone coming in through the ether, someone who's really done successful things and is like other people like Zihang, because like Zihang, she gets her doctorate, her PhD, and then decides to get an MBA after it. Zihang is in the Learning Analytics program within our School of Business for a master's degree. You all went off to the University of Cyprus for an MBA after getting your PhD in Learning Sciences at IU with a heavy emphasis in IST while you were here. I'm not sure if it was actually a double degree, but highly influenced. Was it in both areas, Learning Science and IST?
Yes, it was. And thank you. I have to start by saying thank you for the invitation today. And I'm not sure if I have to say good afternoon or good evening, as it is, we have a few hours difference, but this is the magic of the cloud, actually. So connecting people from wherever. And I hope next time we meet in the metaverse, Kurt. I will arrange for that for next time.
Or in a different M, the Mediterranean, on some beach in Mykonos or somewhere else, you know.
Sure.
So Maria Solomou was here studying with a famous person named Sasha Barab and was looking at a technology called Quest Atlantis, which gets us into the VR gaming world, which she's very interested in. She's got one of her legs firmly planted in instructional design and ed tech and all that, and other legs planted in learning organizations and entrepreneurship and management. And some of her hands are in the e-learning space, and another hand's in the gaming space. I mean, her whole body is kind of emblematic of all the trends in the field and all the things that kind of reach back together and help people perform, help people to learn, right? We pull all those different disparate aspects of Maria's interests and expertise and her talents. In her side hobbies, she likes to watch Formula One as well. She's interested in participatory forms of learning, contributory forms of learning, social constructivism, or situated cog we studied in week 6 and week 7 of this class. I think if you looked at her writings and her research in the past, really it's emblematic of what we read about in those particular weeks, if you want to go back and take a look at that. She's working at PwC in Cyprus and is now a senior manager there. Previously, she was I think a design person, a person experienced design consulting and org development. And now I guess she still is. She's going to take us on a little tour of all the technologies that are behind her. Because as a senior manager, she brings people in to experience things at the Experience Center. You need to have highly refined skills in project management to be able to effectively bring in all those clients and have them have successful experiences. So she's dealt with young kids in the Quest Atlantis to adults now at PwC in Cyprus. She also has an undergraduate in the UK from Bristol, I believe. And I'm not sure, it was a media design or something like that, or?
It was, well, actually, thank you for mentioning all this stuff. I wasn't sure if it would be appropriate, but it's overwhelming to hear it from you, knowing all this from me. So thank you. I'm honored that I'm listening that. Yes, it was a master's in commercial computer games. Yeah, and then I evolved from there to IU, focusing on learning sciences and IST, with focus on virtual worlds and computer game design, with special focus on learning organizations, as you mentioned. Yes, and it's a never-ending journey for me. I love, learning throughout everything I do. And even though the Experience Center is not a training center, or it's not a learning and development in the way we know it, or the practice that we do here, it's more of a hands-on consulting practice that we use design thinking approaches. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with this concept. So we empathize with the need of our user, whether that's a learner, that we help our PwC Academy adjust for that, or if it's the customer of our clients. So we take those pain points, let's say the motivations, the habits of the people, and we build on those. We fix those things that don't work. We go into heavy ideation and brainstorming. We evaluate the ideas, using a divergent and convergent type of things to evaluate those ideas, and then go into design sprints, develop them, test them, a lot of A/B testing with them, and then implement them and actually skyrocket it, because it's what we call the return on experience instead of the return on investment. So building an experience for people is what really accelerates value for an organization. Looking at time.
Yeah. Well, you jumped, we should probably get a tour and so forth, but you jumped a little bit ahead of me, because I was going to say that if any of you are in a doctoral program or master's or certificate program and really not sure what you're going to do with it and where you're at and all that, I can probably safely say that in first couple of years of Maria's career at IU, she maybe didn't know exactly where she was going to end up, and she probably wouldn't have predicted this and where she is today, in fact. But I'll embarrass her a minute. She was one of the people that you could point to and say, wow, so she's really figured out. The growth really happened in the last 3-4 years when she was in the doctoral program, because like night and day, we see someone who's going to be highly successful. Let's just say we all knew it when we saw her, and I was on her dissertation committee, and we were glad to see her get done, and also impressed to have her get an additional degree at the end after finishing. It's not easy to do a PhD program, and it took a concerted effort, because she had to move with her advisor to Arizona State, where he moved, and to finish, I think, right at the end. So it took a real commitment to do that. I don't want to embarrass her, but she was one of the people that makes us extremely proud in the department to have her as an alum. So Maria, we want to have you kind of show us a bit. Christian and I have 10 or 20 questions for you, but we don't want to be the only ones asking questions. We want everyone else who's come here today to do so. But I think the best way to generate those questions is, I think, again, a little more of your history and who the clients are at PwC, what kinds of things you're doing with them or for them, how that's evolved over the past year or so since the Experience Center went live. I think it was about a year ago, or maybe a little over.
More, yeah.
Yeah. So since that happened, since the transition happened, and so maybe you could relate a few things to us, and then show us a few things, and then we'll open up for questions. Does that sound like a plan?
It does. And I have to say that the space as such, it's a creative space. You cannot see it right now, but there's a 360 view all around the floor. So it reflects the open mind, open visions, and thinking outside the box kind of philosophy. Now, what I did a little preparation for you today, because I wanted to showcase it's hard to understand the value and what it means to work with cutting edge technologies, especially within a space. So I'm just going to mention a few things that we have over here. Do a quick a round of the main area of the space, and then I'm going to take you guys on the hologram stage that I prepared something for you.
Thank you.
So excellent. So as an experience center in terms of as a space, we host all kinds of cutting edge technologies that enable us to redefine and rethink the experience of the audience looking at a presentation. So we escape from the traditional PowerPoint slides, and we have, interactive presentations with our audience and with the presenters as well. So for example, around a month ago, we had an event with the Deputy Ministry of Shipping here in Cyprus. So we had the Deputy Minister, and we worked with him to set up a global event for a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis on different fuels for the shipping industry globally. So it was a hybrid event. We had around 80 people on the spot here. So we modified the space as a conference type of thing, like a traditional audience. However, at the same time, we had more than 400 people from around the globe, from captains to shipping executives, from all kinds of C-level people in the shipping industry in Japan. We had people from Mexico, New Zealand. So a whole shipping community, or at least part of it, came together and participated live in a SWOT analysis. And we had people from the University of Austin in Texas, a professor who flew here and did a presentation as an expert in the global shipping community. We also had people, experts from Greece, from industries like Shell, the oils, etc. So people presented the different properties of the fuels, and then the whole audience could participate with their cell phone on Slido, submitting their responses, and everything was showing up on the hologram on a live SWOT analysis. So a task that would take 2 months to complete and bring the community together, share insights, was completed in 3 hours. So this is the amazing element, this is the amazing value of using cutting edge technologies to bring people together. And our hologram stage is one such an example.
Wow!
Yes, it's a very impressive type of thing that we are very glad and to be the only group in Cyprus and in Greece to have and apply. So in the EMEA region, our Experience Center is a cutting edge technology space, brings innovation. We have just started and kick off a new service offering, which is the metaverse. So we do have a metaverse as a global PwC, and at the same time, we launched the PwC Cyprus metaverse service offering. So we have virtual reality glasses, we have the digital twins of the Experience Center and of people, and you can just jump into the metaverse, and you don't need to be physically in the Experience Center, but you can be virtually in the Experience Center and go around. Other spaces, we have around 50 different rooms in the metaverse as PwC Cyprus that we can host events on business workshops with our clients, and they enter with their avatars. We have quiet zones, we have interactive boards. So there is a learning curve until they, getting used to the technology, but afterwards, the experience, because it's a lived experience in the brain. Everything is in the head in that sense. It's very real to them, and it's like they can hear a person in the States while being in Cyprus as if it's next to them. So that's the magic of our VR technologies. We work with blockchain technologies. So we have clients that we build solutions for them. For example, a winery on tracking the course of the wine bottle, let's say. So the customer who ends up opening the bottle can track, and the winery as well. So, in terms of quality of their data, they can track the course on the type of soil, the type of vines, the weather conditions, the the altitude. So everything can go into data, into blocks, the vinification process, how it happened in the store, the distributor, how many days has been on the shelf. And when you open it, the chain of the block kind of breaks. So you have the little package of the little journey of that bottle. You as a wine lover, and the winer as a set of valuable data in terms of the quality of the product, the process, the recipes, the conditions, etc. So a couple of examples. We work a lot with Internet of Things, IoT. We apply our elements of business experience and technology as a combination to identify what's the current state of a customer experience, and then building the to-be state of that customer journey. So we develop the solution, we implement it, we measure it, and we juxtapose, the KPIs and the metrics of the before and after. So for example, a journey would be you entering a website to order internet at home, internet connection. You go on AT&T, you submit your credentials there, you place your order, and you exit. Your journey starts from the point you enter the website and you started searching for it until the time you get your first bill for that. So that's a journey for a customer. So how do we create efficiencies into that process? But I don't want to be talking too much. I want to see a few things.
That Jennifer's joined us from Texas, from Dallas. Jennifer, we've gone through, she's explained a few things about her customers and what they might experience at the Experience Center, in the metaverse, and in other kinds of training. And now she's going to give us a little demonstration just to catch you up. She's going to take us through, I think that's Maria, you're going to show us the space, right?
Yeah. So what you see here, it's the lobby of the Experience Center. We have a bar over there with a very nice view, I have to say, but it's a lot more than that. We focus on welcoming our clients here. Here you are. This is the big video wall. Let me just come over on this side. It's an interactive video wall, and we can connect all the screens in the Experience Center there. You can see there is an amphitheater. So this is the theater room, but you see everything open right now. And this
Maria, I'll stop you for a second.
Yeah.
The School of Ed is getting one of those. We've just remodeled the library in the School of Ed, and we're getting one of video walls is being the university is giving us one near the entryway to the building, just as an aside. We have one in the cyber infrastructure building, which is all the tech people. So School of Ed is starting to get some niceties.
Yeah, nice.
Go ahead.
Great, excellent. At the moment, we are in the breakout room where you see interactive screens. I'm going to show you a couple of things on that. On one of the screens. So we break people into groups and stations for the business workshops, and we have them work on the interactive screens. Everything shows up there. It's saved on their emails, and then we can all show everything on the big screen as well. If we go in there, there's we have the sandbox. I'm just quickly a sneak peek of it. It's kind of a nice living room with interactive screens and video conferencing. And this is actually a digital twin. So for example, what you see on that bookshelf, if you look at it with a VR set of glasses, there is a radio that is fully functionable there. It works. There is a miniature of a building that you could grab if you are and enlarge it and jump into it and look at things. But you need to be here to really see and understand this. It has to be experienced, actually. So back to the screen, to the hologram. I Let me just here, put it here. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
All right. So what you see there, it's the hologram stage. All right. So let me know. Let me just put it higher and make a change here on the computer. All right. So we can control everything from our phones, from our computers. All right, so you see the screen. So I'm gonna go up there. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yep. I see you.
All right, great. So instead of just showing you a stage, I wanted to prepare something, and I chose to give you a small taste of what it means to have a hologrammatic presentation. And I created something small about the future of work and future skills, which is tied to learning a bit and development. At the same time, it's connected to the industry. I'm not sure if the quality will be compromised because I think Zoom gives a 1080p, and this is the highest resolution hologram. So bear with me if you cannot see it right. It's because of the resolution of Zoom. But let me get started, and you will listen to things and you can see things. And hopefully it will be a good experience for you, and we can discuss later.
Sounds good.
All right, great. So let's see. Globally, we are a village right now. We have to admit that Industry 4.0 has made this thing a small town, and if we can speak live together now, it means that all barriers can be broken, and especially with metaverse, with the avatars, and with our digital identities, things, space and time can be merged. So let's see a few things. About experience, and these are data from a survey that we run in regards to what people think about experience and how important it is. Now, people think, like those people who participate in the survey, that experience is everything. 84% of people that answered our questions admitted that experience is absolutely everything in their interactions with a company. It's a great deal it's a great number for us. On top of that, 16% of those people said that they're willing to pay 16% more in order for them to have a better experience. People value an experience in total. And there was a very interesting thing that we found out, that while people say, or companies also admit that, but while they say that experience is everything, very few manage to deliver. And in fact, 8% of those people that responded, only 8% said that the companies they interact with provide great customer experience. And this is a huge discrepancy, because whereas 8% said that the companies they interact with provide great experiences, 80% of the companies said they themselves provide great experiences to their customers. So 8 and 80, not very high levels of awareness, right? So this is where we come in to contribute and help companies realize that what they think is a great customer experience really can be enhanced if they speak to their users' needs. Now, let's see, some experiences. We have the remote workers, we have the hybrid work right now. We have the digitization of a lot of processes. So how does that change for those companies in terms of how they deliver to their customers, right? And nowadays we have the essential workers, which we cannot live without, like doctors. And we have the remote workers, for example, a consultant, a designer, a computer engineer, a programmer, an AI professional, right? How do all these play into the types of experiences we provide to our customers, to our learners, to our users in general, right? We need to have this established. And since we have established this initial understanding of the present of work, as has been lately shaped, let's see the technological trends that are likely to shape work within the next years. The reallocation of current tasks between human and machine is already in motion, and we have an indicative estimation of the technological adoption taking place. For starters, cloud computing is expected to be accelerated by 17% by 2025, while encryption and cybersecurity jobs are expected to rise by 29%. The use of robots and non-humanoids in industrial automation, along with drones, is expected to rise by 10%, while blockchain is expected to have an increase in adoption by about 11%. Algorithms and machines will be primarily focused on the tasks of information and data processing, and retrieval, administrative tasks, and some aspects of traditional manual labor. The tasks where humans are expected to retain their competitive advantage include managing, advising, decision-making, reasoning, and communicating and interacting. So my digital twin really likes to take the spotlight sometimes. So what you have to say, now it's back to me.
She was good. She was good. I mean, very, very convincing.
A little bit, yeah. So let's take a few popular jobs that globally are expected to be by 2030, actually. So we have data analysts and data scientists. We have artificial intelligence, machine learning scientists are very popular. Big data scientists. It's one of the most growing jobs lately. Digital marketing and strategy professionals. So it's very important to be able to identify the trends, what it means at a global level, and translate it to a local level so that you're able to shape the actions of how you will move on and how you will manage and how you prioritize all the tasks to be able to be successful in the market. Others, process automations, right? People who can build process automation to create efficiencies. Business development professionals, people who can speak the language of the companies and be able to extract for them the value of using new technologies, the value of getting into a new project, the value of upskilling their people, right? So upskilling is a very, very important element of how a company will be able to stay ahead of the game and into the market in successful terms. Digital transformation. You need to be able to, along with strategy, digital strategy as well, you need to be able to interpret and have your company's transformation path and roadmap to implement. But at the same time, be able to speak about it with your customers and with others in the market in general. And of course, information security professionals like cybersecurity professionals. Not sure what the current incidents in the States. However, over the past month, we had some cybersecurity incidents here in Cyprus from people hacking some governmental websites. It is a huge alert for everyone. Software application developers. We are moving towards a digital era. Everything is accessible from our home, on our cell phone. Internet of Things, of course, the new technology that really wants us to control, manage, and understand data overall. And so coming to a conclusion on this demonstration, I just want to say that in order for any employee, any professional at all to be successful into the market, whether that's the learning and development market, or that's the consulting, or that's the digital development, or any type of professional context, you need to have good collaboration skills, right? It's not a one-man show. Good problem-solving skills, in terms of the sine qua non of all the skills, definitely. Technology-related skills, definitely. It has to be technologically enabled, especially with the remote and hybrid modes of work that we have right now. And of course, self-management skills, whether that means it's time management, or that's prioritization of work or of our tasks, or whether that's managing of the emotions at work and in general. So having all this to say that you guys, as the current professionals and the future professionals that come into shaping even more the future, I just have to say that the future is just in our hands as professionals. So let's create it together. Collaboration, emotional intelligence, good ideas, great projects towards a better digital transformation. So this was it as a very small taste of what it means to have a dramatic presentation. I'm just coming back to the screen over here just to see you guys again. Let me just change. All right, I'm not sure of what you guys were able to see actually from Zoom, because I guess the resolution was not 100% there, but I hope you got a good opportunity to understand and see the hologram stage and that demo presentation over there.
It was great. Christian probably wants to comment. Christian?
I think it's fascinating how you're able to. I mean, I could see everything. I couldn't see it with great clarity, but I could see just how you could essentially walk around a visualization and the power that that can bring to a presentation versus just 2D visualization of something. Yeah.
Anyone else want to comment? Jennifer, what did you think?
I thought it was very cool, and I'm sorry I was late. And I don't know if I missed something that's going to relate to what I'm going to ask, but I guess I am curious about the learning aspects of it, and kind of building on what Christian just said about maybe a presentation you can walk around versus what sets it apart from 2D graphics that we already use, we already have. And so I'm just thinking.
Well, actually, yes, you're right. I mean, there is added value actually in terms of, you know, what sets it apart, as you say. And it really changes the experience of the audience. It really changes the way, and you guys just saw through a screen now, but the experience on the spot is completely different. And in a hybrid mode, the way it's the live streaming, it's again different because it's streamed in higher resolution and stuff like that. So it's really all about the experience of the audience and the type of engagement we have. In terms of learning, the work we do at the Experience Center is not it's not directly linked into learning and development in the way we approached it, perhaps through this course or through other courses, or in the theories that we have learned. However, me being able to understand and have those, you know, how people learn at the back of my head, I can really position people in the way that they can be actively asking the right questions to identify the needs of their people, and really be able to evaluate the impact that will come through a designed experience. So I'm not sure if this answers to your question, but it's not the learning in the sense of a training. It's what we learn as we build for our users.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
It is very eye-opening. I think if IU had this kind of technology, we would have more faculty participants and our workshops. Thank you for showing us that.
I hope it really provided, you know, a good understanding of what we do in terms of at least this type of technology. If we're able to position people into active ways, it's really transformational for them as well. And for me, part of what guides my my practice here is what we did, what I was working on throughout my PhD studies and through my dissertation, technically, which was based on the transformational play framework at Quest Atlantis, the gaming project, which was the combination of positioning the person, the content, and the context. So we build simulations here for our people to understand situations, for example. So we position them in active ways. We position the content and the context so that there is, you know, they can leave the consequences of their action with, of course, no impact, and see the what if, and understand that what if we do this, what will be the impact of that. And that's really the safe way of understanding and learning as well. So transferring that into the business world, I see that there's a really high value for our clients. So I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to practice the transformational frameworks that are actively engaging people in that sense. I'm not. Would you be interested to see one of the other another solution that we developed through active participation?
Sure, I would.
Yeah. So, what if you could have the whole government at your palm on your lap, a cell phone? So. Just turn this on here, and let's see, do we have it up here? Just see. Go over here.
What if all these services were right in your palm? How about an app that gives you full control on the issues that matter to you? An app that organizes all the things a citizen is made of. Just imagine being able to estimate your tax-free limit or check any of your upcoming state obligations by yourself, having access to your public documents at any time, anywhere. Just one click or a voice command away. Show me my police record. Documents that you could share directly with an institution or your employer. Picture this. To be able to keep track of your affairs, such as the issuing of your new passport, receive notifications for deadlines and time limits. Be self-dependent. Imagine now the simplest action, to authorize a friend to act on your behalf. In Greece, we deal with millions of these every year. It should be easy, right? Let's do it in 3 clicks instead of 2 hours from the comfort of the home. Just think that you could skip the endless queues and call a specialist instead.
Good morning, sir. How may I help you?
So I hope you guys could see this was an application, and the design of an application, and it's really the result of a lot of work behind it. So trying to identifying and empathizing with the user. What do people want when they do work with the public sector, for example? How much time does it take to renew a driver's license? Oh, a few days. But this you can do with the click of with 3 clicks, or you can submit your taxes automated. So how do we create a lot of automations and efficiencies to our citizens and in the public sector in general? So in innovation solutions come after a lot of preparation. There was a lot of workshops, ideations, ideas evaluation, the divergent and convergent thinking that I was mentioning earlier, really a lot of testing with the users. And it's really exactly the same when we design an e-learning, for example. Exactly, we identify our users' needs. What do they need to learn? What are our goals? What do we want to take out at the end of this course? What are the interactions we are going to design throughout all the activities? What are the reflection points we are going to inject throughout the course, right? Are we going to create collaborative activities? So all in all, developing a learning experience for our users. And really, it's we sometimes fall into the trap of designing things that we think that work, right? We fall into the trap of making a lot of assumptions because this is probably how we learned something, right? Sitting behind a desk, looking at the whiteboard. But this is not how people learn nowadays, right? It's completely different. They learn through playing computer games. They learn into while they're into, YouTube. They learn through the influencers they follow. I'm not sure how much learning they get from that, but anyway.
Maybe the validity of that learning.
A little bit. So we do need to consider the context within which our users, our learners, learn nowadays. And then after that, when we analyze and find out about those habits or the new habits of the people, of our learners, their new motivations, why am I required to learn about that battle that happened 150 years ago in a mountain? I mean, teachers usually get those questions, and students challenge, what's the value of me learning that? At least here in Cyprus, we hear that a lot. Imagine though, if we could create those battles or those historic moments and have the users play them and take up a role and really learn that historical incident through an immersive experience instead of just reading it from a book. I'm not saying we should scrap books. Books are a very good tool for triggering our imagination, because we get to create the pictures in our heads and the flows, and it's a very beautiful activity. However, that needs to be an appropriate activity for people that seek for it, that look for it. Imagine having a primary school kid having to read through a book. They need to sparkle imagination. And it's not about viewing a picture or a movie. It's passive engagement with the content. It's all about enabling them to live their learning and turn that learning content into an experience that they can then remember. Because a positive and engaging experience is all about positive emotions. If you have positive emotions through a learning experience, through a leisure activity, something, it stays in your head. You remember it, you talk about it, you share it with people. It's like going to the water park. How fun is that? It's a very positive experience, great feelings, great emotions, excitement. We go back to our family and we just speak about it. We just talk about it and we share. And I had fun, and I had ice cream, actually. Ice cream is always good, positive emotions, right? So we always remember that. I like to tease and just throw a couple of jokes in there while I speak with my clients. So yeah, just creating experiences for your users means that you understand your users. It means you empathize enough to provide the right experience for them that works for them. So even if we don't like a new technology, or we don't consider it to be of value, if our users find it valuable, it means that we have to work with it and incorporate it in the right and most meaningful ways, actually, to enable them. And this is a learning that I have, like a realization throughout my experiences with learning, throughout my PhD, throughout my different jobs that I had. We need to speak to the needs and cater to the needs of our users and our learners. I see a comment from Zihan saying, I learned a lot about ChatGPT by watching YouTube videos, right? So learners, if you want to learn something, you can find it. The world is open. Everything is out there. hint reference there.
There's a reference to that. It's not the first time I've heard that.
All right.
Shishwen hasn't mentioned anything. I want to make sure that she has a question. Shishwen Lu?
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, for sharing across the ocean. So a couple of things here. First of all, I'm very glad for you, for us who have learned a lot from IU Bloomington, right? So sometimes you go to higher education and sometimes you go to business. And it's wonderful you have the unique position, allow you to work with the business people, also work with younger kids with the technology. So congratulations for all you have achieved. So that's very impressive. So I have a few questions here. So it's great. So one thing, I will ask important thing first. So for Sasha had your advisor? No, he was my first advisor when I was Bloomington, we started Quest Atlanta and that stuff. Also later on did a Second Life, right? So when we talk about that, I think beginning, people saw that was 3D, right? So kind of like the Second Life, that's a virtual world, that's 3D. And then in recent years, couple years ago, when Facebook acquired Oculus, so then people say, oh, those are 2Ds. Those are not considered 3D anymore. And then there's a hype, right? There's kind of like people are really into, even the first Facebook, really into those devices, those things. So I want to know more about the thing you are doing there. So how do you guys, you were in the Quest Atlanta, for quite a while, right? Now there's that thing. So give us an update about your position or your perspective on that one first. Yeah.
Before she does, Shishwen, when did you finish? What year?
I was tricky. This was tricky. I finished my dissertation defense in 2007, but I wait for 2008 to leave Bloomington.
That's what I thought. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And I think Maria arrived around the same time that you were finishing. Maria, did you arrive in 2007 or 8?
I arrived in 2007 in September.
Yeah.
2000.
Okay. Yeah. I defend. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably see each other in the hall.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Tell us your
It's a small world after all. It's a small world.
I have to admit, yes. I have to admit, definitely. I happen to have an Oculus Pro here.
Yeah.
My VR glasses that I was doing some work over there. So in terms of the VR, the virtual world, I came into the Quest Atlantis project at the time that it was starting to really pick up as a project. And I was very fortunate to be in a very powerful team that we worked into identifying different paths and different ways of enabling people to learn and participate. And from there, we built different projects on positioning people in active ways. So throughout the years that I worked in Quest Atlantis until I graduated, the whole space had developed a lot. It moved from a more I want to say traditional kind of platform to a more modern in the end. So we went to Unity 3D. So the experience was being enriched in terms of the graphic. And now I am positive that it will be a completely different experience if we jumped into that same world right now. And this is the value and the beauty, I guess, of intentionally designing virtual spaces and virtual worlds. You see what's working, what's not, how needs progress, and how people change, and you adjust to that. And with Oculus being acquired a couple of years ago, we came to be introduced to the metaverse, which is like, hi, Oliver, which is a completely different type of experience, because there you can real.
Oliver wants to know.
Oh my God.
No, he wants this. Don't you, Oliver? Don't you? Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. So the metaverse being introduced to the world as a new way of being, actually, because back in 2005 we were talking about life on the screen and how we had our digital identities, and it was wow, our digital identity. Now it's our real digital identity, existence, a second life, a real second life. So there is a whole kind of transformation. It's actually the metaverse. It's a meta universe. It's a parallel universe that you can purchase things, you can try things on, you can complete different transactions. Banks have virtual branches in the metaverse. Retails like H&M. I'm not. Is the H&M there in the States now? No. Yeah. So any type of retail a store can have a presence in the metaverse. You can really have your hologram there and try things on and see whether it fits or not before you buy it. So from a 2D type of thing to kind of a 3D, kind of a pixelated, a little bit more adjusted, a little bit more upgraded, to a live hologrammatic different virtual self. And I have to say, I am a cyberpunk in my metaverse account. It's a completely different identity from my professional identity here, right? So you can choose to be who you want to be. Having said that, I'm not touching any GDPR ethics. This is a whole different conversation, but I'm just wanting to emphasize, and you correctly just pointed out, this evolution with the metaverse and stuff like that. So yes, and I cannot wait to see how the next years will look like. There is an acceleration right now when we expect to see a lot more over the next few years.
Yeah, so the reason I ask, I followed kind of Second Life for a while. That's 2010. Can't believe that was 12 years ago. Kind of I wrote a very comprehensive review about using the VR Second Life there. And then kind of 2018, we reviewed about the VR stuff. But, I return back to a language learning field. From a language learning perspective, I have conservation regarding this trend. But anyway, I think the Second Life, those 3D already cost a lot, kind of like, people need a lot of skills to build those worlds. There's a value there, but for language learning, I see there's limitations. And then back to the Oculus, there's 3D there. Again, there are maybe more useful for those medical or architecture, but for a certain field, the value added maybe that's not worth the money to spend for that. So are there any kind of current projects you guys carry out over there using the metaverse, using the VR, or you have AR or whatever mix that involve projects going on right there, or you're still developing?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and actually it brings some examples into in mind. Yeah, we do develop virtual reality, like digital twins and metaverse experiences. We do develop augmented reality experiences. Actually, I have one here that we developed. It's our coffee ordering project. So if you scan it with your cell phone, you will be able to order coffee at
Hold on, let me scan. Let us scan there.
And
So
tomorrow morning, when the bartender comes in to make our coffee, she will be like, "Where did all these orders come from? Who is Jennifer? Who is Paula? Who is Kurt?"
okay.
Right? So you'll probably be able to see an augmented reality experience there, and you will be able to order your coffee. If you want to submit it, nobody will bring you the coffee in the States, but it will be here at the bar in the morning.
Okay. I see.
So,
I see.
yeah.
I see.
And wine in the afternoon.
And wine in the afternoon. Yeah. So this is an experience that we give to people when they come to visit us downstairs at the reception. They can order their coffee and it's waiting for them when they come up here. And of course throughout the workshops they can do through AR. So back to the conversation though, and the question. I just have to say that it might be worth, and you will decide that, to look into solutions with AI, artificial intelligence, for language learning and translation. It was at a very primitive form up until recently, but I see things picking up lately, so I'm not sure if you follow that, but language and neuro-linguistically speaking, AI has evolved a lot. And so it might
That's
be
the grant I'm working on right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ChatGPT for language learning, and YouTubers who are posting about language instruction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in the midst of that.
It's a very, very interesting topic to look into, and how artificial intelligence is becoming more and more intelligent, how machines are being trained to be more intelligent, and where does that end in the end, right?
So let me ask the last question here. So how do you, I saw a lot for the professional performance with a hologram, for theater, but really good to see how that using education. So how much you guys spent on building on that stage? And also, how do you define that? How do you put that category? Right now I'm also helping a journal to add a issue about using AR, VR, whatever for language learning. That was kind of like committed a while ago. So do you put that in the VR field, or how do you put a hologram in the whatever framework?
Currently we are working with a metaverse company, actually, with a virtual collaboration tool company, where we can present in virtual amphitheaters and transfer our hologram presentation into the VR, so the avatars that are in the space can see the hologrammatic presentations. Kind of an Inception thing, what I'm describing, but we are close to finalizing the solution and using it, actually, which is I'm very excited that you mentioned something similar to that. What exactly do you do with Arduino?
What? Okay, so I'm just curious. So how much you spend on the building of that theater? Is $1 million or $1,000? I mean, how much you?
The hologram stage?
Yeah. The software also related.
You mean how much it costs?
Yeah.
Build it?
Yeah, just curious.
It's a few $100,000 euros, actually.
A few $100,000. I'm bad with math.
Euros are different than dollars.
Okay. So how much that'll be, Kurt? How much will be for US dollars for that? Super expensive, I guess, right?
A bit more than $150,000.
Okay.
Sihong had the same question. So
the equipment.
Yeah.
That's just the equipment. Then there's the space. You have to create the space. That's expensive real estate there in Cyprus. It's not cheap being in that. You're in what floor of the building?
We are at the floor, top floor, 9th.
So they're on the top floor with a view, probably in the distance of downtown for a view. You showed me once. It's downtown in one direction and the sea in the other direction.
Actually, Nicosia, the capital, is in the middle of the island, so there's no sea view from here. Across the street is the presidential palace, though, and the center of the city. So we are at the core of the business center here in the capital.
So we don't have much time left because I don't want to take up. We're a little over an hour, and I promised it's later at night. She needs to go home and get some rest. But Nicholas hasn't asked any questions. So Nick, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I was just fascinated by the way that you just gone from one thing to one thing and kind of just ended up in different places. And I guess I'm just wondering, what would you say was the main factor that led to that kind of you think propelled you forward in this field?
I guess throughout my experiences, my way of thinking kind of evolved into thinking in terms of what kind of professional space I want to be in. Mainly in terms of what kind of difference do I find myself being more valuable in making. So having started from education, I jumped into learning and technologies, and then I jumped into computer games as a way of positioning people, person, content, context, and transformational play. But then kind of being thirsty for more and exploring more, I found new kind of, I want to say niche, it's not niche anyway, new paths, let's say, that I wanted to explore. So I wanted to be able to prepare people for the future. I wanted to be able to facilitate this kind of transition. And since I'm into technologies, I wanted to find a way of developing that. But then throughout my PhD, I came across a lot of let's say challenges, readings, you name it, actually, different conversation that trigger my interest into, okay, how do I prepare an organization, i.e. its people in the end, into becoming a learning organization and developing. And this comes from Peter Senge, whose readings I love, and Argyris and Sean, so people that I read about. And I really got into this notion of reflexive participation, not just reflective, which is more of a cognitive perspective. The reflexive is in action. So I kind of got in very fascinated by that, and I wanted to see how that translated into a virtual world. And so I went and built that into my dissertation, identifying ways of enabling people into organizations, whatever type of organization or group of community of practice, what you name it, whatever that is, how to develop, make them function as nodes, something more than teams. So having explored that, I went into, I really like, I'm a very organizational person. I like, project management, deadline. I really go into this type of thing. So I started exploring virtual worlds for corporate settings. And so all in all, I came back to Cyprus with solid research on how to prepare organizations and virtual worlds and positioning people, and having enriched a transformational framework with elements like accountability, responsibility. How do you position people in those ways? So it kind of, you can probably identify the little steps in my journey, that how things connect, one brings the next, and the next one fourth and fourth and fourth. So I ended up with a huge interest in the business world, where, at least in Cyprus, I realized that business was strictly business, and not a lot of people would pay attention to understanding the need. It was very dry in terms of, it was not as human-centric as I would think. And so the Experience Center came into the, right, perfect timing. This opportunity came into, the right time, and made me realize, okay, this is very appropriate for my professional identity. It really expresses who I am professionally. And so it was a great match. And being in such a context where I belong to global experience consulting teams, global metaverse teams, being exposed to all those mega trends through the firm and through the practice I do, it still enables me to learn and grow as a professional, and then be able to bring my ideas and develop them with the team here, and the team brings their ideas, and we all, all collectively work towards that. And this is the essence of how we build a better experience for our people internally, but for our clients as well.
So Maria, is a good story. It's a great story. So I have just some curious, real quick. What's next for the Experience Center? What's on the list in the future kind of technologies you might embrace, or might, just briefly, what kinds of things might happen?
The one thing that just started happening like fresh is the metaverse service offering. Other things that are starting to kick off is the Internet of Things, in the sense that we are helping our clients to embrace that concept with blockchain technologies, the different all the components that contribute to improving the value chain, for example, whether that's agriculture, or that's smart contracts, or that's legal issue, or that's government, or whether that's even the in the banking sector, or in a winery, or in a telecommunications company. So the next thing is blockchain and Internet of Things.
Yeah. So what would you recommend for my students or people in the field of learning design technology? What kind of course experiences or internship experience or whatever would help get them ready for this, for the next wave? Last week, someone said, well, learning analytics. Another person 2 weeks ago said project management skills. Si Hung was here earlier. She got a master's in learning analytics. So are there things that come to mind, just briefly stated, that you think could be beneficial?
Yes, I do have I do have an opinion on what could be the next step. Learning analytics have been out there since 2006, 2007, and George Siemens was doing a lot of work in learning analytics as well. So really, learning analytics is just a vehicle for us to understand our users, right? So to me, there is no fixed recipe into what you need to do, actually. However, I would say that you should find your own personal needs and where you want to be, let's say in 5 years from now, and start building on that. acquire as many experiences as possible in terms of upskilling yourselves, whether that means you take a short online course on what is an NFT, or taking a small tour on cryptocurrencies and what it means to mine Bitcoins. It will enable you to see, to add another piece in the puzzle, right? And be able to interpret the world from a different perspective. So if you're open to exploring the potential of each technology, of course, if you are in the technology sector, and really thinking of how might I be able to use that to enrich my learning experience, design and development practice. So for me, there is no fixed recipe. If there is one thing I learned throughout my trajectory is be open to anything and try to learn as much as possible. If you're learning, if throughout the learning experience you decide that this is not anymore for me, it's fine. You learn up to where you learned, and you really identified where to stop that and where that was a satisfactory level for you, and then go on to the next learning, because at the end you will be able to have a nice portfolio of experiences, and you will be able to be a better judge of how to position your learners based on their needs, and you will be able to speak to those needs based on any kind of level of expertise you have in any technology. Because I think through the courses at IU, you are perfect, you're good to go on theory and of good practices, but on real action, you need to take that.
That's an excellent answer. I think we should end with that. I've got, as you know, I sent you another 10 questions. Christian, who had to leave early, had a meeting, had another 10 questions. So we've got a lot more. We'll have to bring you back again as you get into the metaverse side of things. A year from spring, next year in the spring, I'll teach the emerging learning technologies again, and maybe we can get another visit with you a year from now. If I do, it's tentative, but I really appreciate it. What I'm going to do, just as an aside, I'm going to teach the course again in the fall. I'm not going to have any guests. I've decided I'm going to use the guests from this semester and from a year ago. I'll create a playlist, and we already have playlists from last semester. So I'll do more of an async course next fall in this particular class. That's what I'm thinking about. So I'll go back to doing discussion. I haven't done discussion forums for a while. We were doing blogs in here and things like that. I just got burned out on all the discussion forums. Sometimes the conversations get trite and long and winded, and there's really hard to understand where learning's happening. So I switch back and forth. But I appreciate you coming in here today, because it's extremely important for them to see not only what's happening in the business world with technology, which is the topic of the last couple of weeks in this course, but someone who's actually been in the program and has transformed herself. That's what I was getting at earlier. Maria really went through a personal transformation, if you will. And that transformation was not a one-off. She's continued the evolution in her evolutionary path. It has fit or aligned with the different work settings that she's found herself in along the way. If you'd like to learn more, I would be happy to send you the book chapter that she wrote for my book, Transformative Teaching Around the World, which is based on my R511 course on instructional strategies. Maria, it's been a delight having you with us again. You've been here once or twice before. I visited your class in Cyprus when you were a professor teaching there before you got this job. So we've done back and forth each way. Since you graduated, you left Bloomington in 2010 or 11 and went to Arizona State. Was it 2012 you defended or 2011?
I defended in 14. 14,
okay. So yeah, I remember graduation and so forth. 14, okay. Well, you've done so many tremendous things in less than a decade since graduation. Now, what will happen in the coming decade? We'll all want to see. So I will end week 12. I'll let you have the last comment before I end. Would you like a couple words just before I close this?
Well, thank you very much for hosting me once again. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure interacting with people, and of course with people from a university that is so near and dear to my heart. I've had so many great experiences there, and I'm always very, delighted to be touching base with you all. I have to say, just as a closing, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can think about it, you will find a way to achieve it, to do it. Where there is passion, we find ways. Just have your positive energy, hustle, find ways, and be committed to what you. If you love what you do, you will excel in it. So once again, thank you very much for having me over.
It's been a delight having you. And this is week 12, part 2 with Maria Solomou from Cyprus, signing off.